The earth was filled with violence. Humanity had corrupted itself, and every thought of man's heart was evil continually. Giants, the Nephilim, walked among them, born of fallen angels and mortal women. But one man, Noah, found favor in the eyes of the Lord. While the world mocked righteousness, Noah walked blameless. Though they jeered, he pressed forward, hearing the silent voice of God above the noise. He grieved not only for mankind's sin, but for how far they had fallen from the Creator. His eyes carried the burden of obedience in a world that had forgotten. The Nephilim, offspring of angels and women, defied nature and justice. Their presence alone bent the balance of creation. To obey God meant to stand alone. From Noah's view, the earth teetered on destruction, yet his faith stood firm. Noah prayed, not for punishment, but for mercy. His heart wept for the lost even as judgment neared. Even the giants, bred for destruction, paused at Noah's peace. They could not understand such strength because it was not from man. Lord, let your will be done. His whisper echoed louder in heaven than the shouts of thousands. High upon the mountain, far from the corruption of man, Noah waited. And there, in the quiet, the voice of the Lord came upon him. Noah, the voice was not of this world. It spoke into his soul, stirring every cell of his being. This was no dream, it was divine appointment. The end of all flesh is come before me, said the Lord, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. The sky above roared not with thunder, but with the certainty of justice. Noah felt the weight of purpose settle on his shoulders like stone. God continued, make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make, and pitch it within and without. Every word etched itself into Noah's soul. Visions flooded his mind, the great vessel, the rising tides, the covenant to come. It was more than instruction. It was a prophecy. Noah was not chosen because he was perfect, but because he obeyed. In a world of defiance, he listened. As the vision ended, silence fell again. But Noah was no longer the same man. He had been given the burden and the blueprint of salvation. As dawn broke, the first hammer fell. In obedience, Noah and his family began building a vessel unlike anything the world had ever seen. The ark stretched over 450 feet, divinely measured. It was both judgment and mercy taking form in timber and pitch. His hands had tilled the earth, raised his sons, buried the innocent. How they built salvation, plank by plank. Though the world mocked, Noah's sons stood beside him. Their unity became their strength, and the women, often overlooked, labored quietly, sealing the ark, preserving what would endure. The world jeered. Foolish old man, they cried. But the truth always sounds strange to those drowning in lies. With every nail, he remembered God's words. The time would come, and it would be soon. Days turned to months, months to years. The ark rose from the earth like a wooden mountain, and still the people laughed. A hush fell over the land. At God's command, from every corner of the earth, creatures great and small began to move. The ground vibrated with the footsteps of elephants and the silent glide of serpents. Instinct drew them a divine calling they could not ignore. Noah watched, his heart filled with awe. The Creator's hand was moving across his creation, orchestrating a symphony of survival. To buy too they came the soaring eagles and the earthbound tortoises, the roaring lions and the gentle lambs. A procession of life toured the waiting ark. The daughters-in-law offered water and shade, their faces reflecting wonder and perhaps a touch of fear at the sheer magnitude of the event. Even the mocking villagers paused, their laughter dying in their throats as they witnessed the impossible unfold before their eyes. Noah, his weathered face serene, extended a hand to a curious monkey, a silent acknowledgement of the trust placed in him. The last rays of the setting sun cast long shadows as the final pairs entered the ark's dark maw. The door awaited its divine seal. Then, the unthinkable happened. The skies, once grey with sorrow, now wept with a torrential downpour unlike any seen before. The rivers swelled, bursting their banks. Water seeped into the valleys, then rose with terrifying speed. Panic gripped the once mocking crowds. Their laughter turned to screams as the foundations of their world dissolved. Inside the ark, a different kind of tension filled the air, quiet anticipation of the storm's full fury. The animals huddled together, a diverse collection united by the safety of the wooden vessel. Noah and his family knelt in prayer, their faith the only anchor in a world being swept away. The rain beat against the ark like a relentless drum, the cries of the lost a fading echo. And as the ark lifted from the ground, cradled by the rising waters, the judgment of God was unleashed upon the earth. Days blurred into nights, marked only by the ceaseless roar of the storm and the rocking of the ark. The world outside was swallowed by a churning ocean, the peaks of the tallest mountains vanishing beneath the waves. Within the ark, life found a rhythm. The animals were cared for, and meals were shared in the dim light. Noah, his gaze often fixed on the raging waters, held on to the promise of a new beginning. Generations lived side by side, united in their isolation from a drowned world. The silence between the storms was heavy with the weight of what had been lost. Yet, within the confines of the ark, hope remained a fragile ember, kept alive by faith. And through the endless rain, the ark became a symbol of survival, a testament to obedience. Then, slowly, imperceptibly at first, the relentless rain began to cease. A profound silence descended, broken only by the creaking of the ark and the gentle lapping of water. Days turned into weeks as the floodwaters began their slow retreat, revealing a desolate landscape. Noah released a dove, a messenger of hope, which returned with no place to land. A week later, the dove returned with a fresh olive leaf, a sign that life persisted. Finally, the ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat, a beacon on a waterlogged world. A sense of cautious relief filled the ark as the waters continued to subside, and Noah knew that the time for a new beginning was drawing near. As the floodwaters receded completely, God spoke to Noah, commanding him to leave the ark. The door opened, revealing a world cleansed and reborn. Glistening under a pale sun, Noah, his family, and the animals stepped onto the muddy ground, the first inhabitants of a new era. An altar was built, and Noah offered a sacrifice of thanksgiving to the God who had delivered them. And God made a covenant with Noah and every living creature, promised never again to destroy the earth with a flood. A rainbow arced across the sky, a vibrant symbol of this everlasting promise. Life began anew, slowly and tentatively, from the survivors of the great deluge, and Noah's obedience became a timeless story of faith, judgment, and the enduring mercy of God.